Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's show. It appears they have called a general election, which I'm not really happy about, to be honest, because it's in summer and I'm busy. Honestly, yesterday, right, I'd just finished writing the second proposal for that stadium, the stadium idea, right? And the general election was called like an hour after I'd finished, and I was absolutely done in. And I was like, do you know how much work that's going to be? And that's what it was. Do us a favor, right? There's a massive lag on this, and it's saying no, 0 people at the minute, but I know there's loads of yous in the comments. Ah, yeah, it's just caught up, probably a minute in. So, you'll never ever find out really about the legend of Grot Bags and Grot Bags' origin story, which I was telling for the first minute of the show. You missed it. It's a gutter. There's a general election being called, and I'm not happy about it. It's really not convenient because that's going to be a lot of work, and I've got a lot of work lined up. But you know who's capable of it? I am, because I'm better. But I'm going to have to manage my time really well. Quite obviously, we'll be having some politicians on soon. But to be honest with you, I really couldn't be bothered to do it today because I'm really tired, as I've said. But they're sometimes, as long-time listeners and watchers will know, are the best shows, I feel. Also as well, if anybody could let us know why my Apple mouse, it's like a Bluetooth one, just will not connect me to my computer. Any hints and tips in that regard, great. So if he says, put my hand up towards the screen, it's because the mouse is broken, but we'll bash on. What I want to know is, right, who's in the comments? Zoe, Joanne, James Bashford, Was. Who else? Glasgow. Alice Wolf, hello, pal. Nice to see you. Great North Korea video you sent us. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Scrolling back. Sound nice to see you in. See people are joining now. Bigger lag than normal. Do you think it's because of that mad thing that's been happening with the Facebook page, which I have applied for Meta verified, as I said the other day. So now we wait because I want a human being to look at it, because literally every single ban I've ever had has been spurious. And this feels very targety, given there's an election coming up. And as long-term listeners will know, the 2019 election, the ban ended 1 minute after the polls closed. Told this story many times. So you'll forgive us if me arse isn't a little bit twitchy. We'll see. Why though? Why did they do this? Like, what's with the targeting? What a strange and interesting world we're living in. Anyway, on the screen, shouts to the Fellowship of the Memes. It's Lee Anderson. We asked 100 people to name something you get on the 4th of July. You said a P45, sterling work, once again. Let's hope that's true, because people like him should be nowhere near power. What we need to know is, like, what are the public saying? Obviously, these aren't representative of the entire public, but here's some Vox Pops from, I believe this to be Good Morning Britain. It is.
I feel like Labour's lost its unique, like it's for the working people. I feel like it's lost that. So I'm a little bit unsure of who to vote for now. I feel like Labour's lost its...
Interesting. From the North. From the fictional Red Wall. The fictional Red Wall speaks. I don't blame her. I mean, many people are feeling the same. Obviously, at the last general election, I voted Labour. I won't be doing that at this general election. So tell us in the comments who you plan to vote for and why. And we'll pull up some of them, hopefully, towards the middle and the end of the show and have a geek look at it and that. So I think that video is probably indicative of pretty much everywhere. And some of the reasons for it could be this. So let's have a look at it, Grotters. What we got? Oh, it's you. Let's see.
Trust Sir Keir Starmer, whether it's his 5 missions or his 6 first steps, when he's either ditched or rolled back on so many of his original promises.
So they should look at Keir Starmer and say, here is someone who has turned around the Labour Party.
No. Sorry, you've completely ignored the question. You completely ignored my question. Why should they trust him when he's ditched or rolled back so many of his original
I
promises.
don't think that's true. I think he stood for the
That's
Labour Party.
absolutely true.
Saying he could be a Labour
That's
Prime
absolutely
Minister.
true. When he
No.
wanted, well, let me just give you some examples, if I may, Mr. Reynolds. When he wanted to become Labour leader, he said he would abolish tuition fees. He said he would defend freedom of movement. All gone. Then he promised there would be this big offer of 28 billion a year for the green transition. He's rolled back on that. Those are just 3 examples. There are more.
He has put forward a set of missions that he wants to achieve in
No,
government.
you're ignoring my question.
but let me just finish the point.
No,
On things like the 28
I'd be
billion.
really grateful if you could answer the question.
28
Why
billion was
should-
not possible after Liz Truss. It wasn't. Interest rates were not the same after that mini budget. We've got to be honest with people and say these are our ambitions, but
We've got to be honest with people when they rock that stuff in there, the heavily lies.
this is how we're going to deliver them. And when you've got a situation like that, there was simply no way we could do that. But look at what we're proposing on GB Energy, on a national wealth fund, on real ambition, on
GB Energy is absolutely a terrible idea, by the way. Go look at it.
net zero to get the economic benefits of that for the UK.
But you, okay, let me give you some other
means has
examples.
changed a
Let me
little
give you
bit,
some other
but the ambition
examples,
is the
which are nothing to do with the economic outlook. Workers' rights. Originally, you were going to ban 0 hours contracts. That's not happening anymore.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Absolutely,
no,
it is.
No,
It is.
you're not banning 0 hour
Yes,
contracts.
are.
We had this whole
we are
conversation with
banning
union leaders.
exploitative 0 hours contracts. That is
There's
part of our
wiggle
New
room
Deal
there.
for working people.
You were going to abolish the House of Lords. That's free. You're not doing that anymore.
Well, look,
Those are some more examples. And I come back to the question, why should voters trust Sir Keir Starmer to
Lies.
do what he says he's going to do this time?
Interesting.
Because he has a record of public service. And he has a
Right, he has a record of public service being the head spy cop. Look at his record, man. Like, there's loads of stuff when he was at DPP. Also, there's certain minutes, and I'm not going to say this because I want to make sure I get it sourced and everything properly. All I will say is this: there's a meeting he went to in the United States during that time that seems to, as a public servant, not be catalogued. We'll do that on another show in the future. Head spy cop.
record of how he has transformed the Labour Party.
He's got a record of
That is
dropping his
transformative.
pledges.
No, I don't think that's true. I honestly don't think that's true.
Why-
Lies. He's just indicative of the worst, isn't he? The worst. I don't know if you're allowed to like make like German sausage jokes anymore. The worst. He's a sausage. That lad's a sausage. Loads of sausages about. So Matty's saying, if there's no one about, I'll be spoiling the ballot. There's Greens standing in every seat. So if you want to go do that, go do that. If you want to support my work, everybody, go to patreon.com/Cow Daily. That's for regular and predictable income for your independent media needs leading into the election. If you want that, if you want the unvarnished truth, if you want to fund that unvarnished truth, hello. That's how you do it. Also, super thanks on YouTube. You can send me money like a political stripper, and I will dance like a performing seal, possibly with a thong on. Slide that money into my ass crack, and I'll go and buy food. Also, PayPal link in the description. Thank you very much. Right. What we got now? Let's see. Please do not sit on the fence. It's your classic picture from polling station for audio listeners. Go vote. Look into registration to vote, and please tell people about voter ID. It's the first general election since the last one. I'm such a silver-tongued political cavalier. Please go and vote. I mean, obviously, like, look into the candidates, find out about them, listen to this show. I will tell you things that you might like. Anyway, on the screen, Labour doesn't have a plan, says man who hasn't checked the weather forecast. That, right, if anybody knows the score about politics, the way it works, that kind of thing, no way that gets through layers of image management without somebody utterly stitching Sunak up and making him look like a wet shitting dog. Shaken. It was ridiculous. Like, that's an image for all the ages. It reminds us of Steve McLaren when he was England manager and the Wally with the brolly and all that. Well, Sunak didn't even have a brolly. Absolutely so. That suit must be like 12,000 grand. That's not even a figure. But I'm telling you, man, this guy is absolutely being hung out to dry. Quite literally. Didn't even mean that one. Light work, I'm telling you. So anyway, Farage, where would we be without Farage talking his talk? But here he is with Steve Bray, which for me, right, people like Steve Bray and that don't, I wouldn't say I've warmed to him more, but I just think he's indicative of that other side of the cult Bell End thing. And should we have Steve Bray or not? I'd rather Steve Bray existed than he didn't. He's clearly annoying some of the right people, but I don't know. It's all this whole like sort of other side of the cult on Brexit thing really, really stopped millions of people living in poverty from having a government that might have met their needs. It was a huge factor. So I'm not going to lionize this fool.
Hey, do you know what? If you didn't have your bodyguards, right, we could have a serious discussion. Nigel Farage, you're a disgrace to the United Kingdom. You make yourself out to be a patriot. You're a right-wing fascist. You are a right-wing.
You're a right-wing fascist. Most of them are. I know you misspoke there, but you're a right-wing fascist. It's just this kind of like melty. Because like people like what they do is right, and it feeds in with this whole Andrew Tate thing. They project meltitude onto the left, and they call him the left, which he isn't really, and it makes us all look a bit soft. And you know these whole sort of like talk TVs and GB Newses, they'll be dining out on this. Farage up in arms about the sort of people got stabbed. What about Joe? You know, it'll be all that talk again. Bad faith Raj.
Fascist.
How you not
Fascist.
I've just been banned from the area, by the way. But now I've seen you, I'm hanging around.
You are vile.
Am I?
Oh,
Do I get up your nose, Mr. Farage?
No, you've got no manners.
I got no manners. You're a fascist. Why should I?
Don't be a moron.
You're a right-wing fascist.
You are you're really stupid. I never thought you were stupid, but now
I'm not stupid. I'm just not a twat like you, Mr. Farage.
Get him in the van. Go on, put him in the van,
The
Steve.
United Kingdom.
you have betrayed this country.
You are a
You have
traitor
betrayed it
to
one
the
by
United Kingdom. You're a traitor, Nigel Farage.
Two bald
And
men
the sooner
fighting
the
over a
UK
comb.
is rid of you,
That's
the
what I'm saying.
better.
And most of the countries won't
Go
belong
to
to it.
Rwanda for Nigel Farage. Bye.
Things can only get better.
Right, that'll do. Let us know what you think of that guy and all of that carry on and whatever. And I honestly, you know, I don't think he's acting in bad faith or anything. It's not that. I'm not like you. It's like it's a bit melty for me, like, and as I say, there hasn't been any kind of self-reflection or any kind of reckoning from those like Uber Euro people at all. Very little reflection about what millions of people living in poverty might want or need, or actually looking at meeting people where they are and meeting and talking and engaging with that and finding out. The analysis stops at, oh, well, they'll be worse off outside of Europe. And that's it, because it's literally all about getting subsidized chorizo and jamon. So I call them the jamon. Farage is the king of the gammon. Your man there's the king of the jamon. Same thing. They just want to layer on a little bit of snobitude and call it as it is. I will. Anyway, Farage isn't standing. He's going to support Trump. He's just put this out about half an hour ago. I've thought long and hard as to whether I would stand in the upcoming general election. Before we go on, think of it like this. He's lost every single time and he'll lose again. In a general election, he's not getting elected in anything other than a European election, which, strangely enough, had a different voting system. Anyway, I've thought long and hard as to whether I should stand in the upcoming general election as honorary president of Reform UK. What a title. I'm fully supportive of Richard Tice's leadership and urge voters to put their trust in him and Lee Anderson. I'll do my bit to help in the campaign, but it's not the right time for me to go any further than that because I've got to get on the transatlantic grift. Important though the general election is, the contesting United States of America in November. He's put on November the 5th. Oh, that's right. Has a huge global significance. A strong America as a close ally is vital for our peace and security. is it? I intend to help with the grassroots campaign in the USA in any way that I can. The choice between Labour and the Conservatives is uninspiring, and only reform have the radical agenda is needed. Blah, 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 blah. You're a stalking horse for Steve Bannon. That's what reform is. I'm going to just go ahead and say that the Workers' Party of Britain want to be watched. And in America, he's just going to go over there and just give this, like, whatever Bannon tells him to speech at probably APAC or whatever Trump hustings he's going to. And I'd imagine Russell Brand's going to come out soon behind, because the people who pay him, JD Vance, fascist senator, and Peter Thiel, tech fascist extraordinaire, they're just going to tell them what to do, because that's where the money is, because it's all about getting Trump elected. They've met Thiel, Musk, Rupert Murdoch, and others met a couple of weeks ago in LA to strategize on how to get Trump elected. As we've been cataloging on this show for over 2 years now, go back to youtube.com/Cow Daily. There's plenty of stuff for you to catch up on, watch about the fash, how it's infiltrated the sort of crystal fash and that kind of thing, how it's all about bringing new formations together in the electorate, which don't follow the traditional left and right. It's all different now. And as I've said many times, 19th century theories cannot solve 21st century problems. It's startling watching the left just get passed by these people. But, you know, sometimes general elections can create big sort outs. So I think there's opportunities here for Alloway. It's back to videos, I think, what we got. Let's have a look. So, Green Party, let's see what they've got to say. So this will be Carla Denyer, who is on course with the polls to beat the abhorrent Thangam Debonair in Bristol. Let's see what she's got to say.
Of a familiar refrain from some politicians and indeed from some voters that voting for the Green Party in a general election is a wasted vote. If you want the party that you support to be in power, then don't vote for a minority party. How do you counter that?
I would simply say it's not a wasted vote. If you vote for the party whose policies you agree with, that is how democracy works. And to be honest, voters are, especially in places like Bristol, my home city, are telling us that they are disgusted, frankly, with the direction the Conservatives have been taking this country in over the last 14 years, but are feeling utterly uninspired by Keir Starmer's Labour Party, who they feel are reneging on their principles, U-turning on their policies every few weeks before they even get into power. And so as Labour and the Conservatives get closer and closer to one another on policies, it becomes more and more obvious to them that if they want to get politicians elected who can stand up for them and represent their values and their views in Westminster, then it's the Greens for them.
It's the Greens for them, says Carla. Never met Carla. Seems all right. Would be good to be, whether she was an MP than Thangam Debonair. Let's everybody go to Bristol Central and leaflet for the Greens. Get Thangam Debonair out. Honestly, just please, it'll make us happy. As I've been saying for how long? Over a year since we had Nick Hartley, who's now won in Biker, and Zach Polanski on the show. The Greens can win, and I have said for the longest time the optimum outcome we can hope for is a hung parliament with maybe 5 or 6 Green MPs. I think there'll be some shocks, and I think South Shields in the northeast. If people in the northeast get behind the candidate David Francis there, like fall in behind that, I think it's possible. There was some polling come out recently, and I've seen some data as well. It's really possible, and we need that plurality of opinion. We have to have it. We've got the climate emergency. We've got so many other things that could really do with 1 or 2 Green MPs acting as the balance of power, getting them in the cabinet. You know, that would be a good thing, a very good thing indeed. And hopefully it'll slow down Labour's plans to privatise the NHS. But as we've said many times, it's a movable feast, and there's a lot will go on in the next 6 weeks because they're in full propaganda mode. Sorry, I had a little bit of windy pops there. Excuse me. It's gone. My apologies. Top Care. This from We Feel one of my favorite artists. Go check out We Feel. Top Care, flip-flop edition. Let's end climate change, then again, maybe not. Ceasefire, but let's not be too hasty now. Come on. People might be, they're not, it's, Thatcher was great. No, wait, unless she wasn't. No, it's quite hard to say, really, depending on which camera's pointing at me. Save the NHS, maybe it'd be too late, perhaps private healthcare. This is the thing, they're going to privatize the NHS. So, like, you know, vote accordingly. Because do you like medical treatment? I mean, the NHS is far from perfect. Like, it needs massive reform. I mean, start with infection control for one. But trust me, without healthcare, things will get very bad. So, you know, think of this while you're humming "Things Can Only Get Better." I mean, just back to that, the Melt, Steve Bray, playing the D-Ream song that, like, Blair won to. It's just, like, an affront to people from certainly my area, or like estates everywhere, really. Labour did nothing for us, man. Like a few bits of like glittery stuff, which they kind of had to do back then. They don't have to do nothing because the left's been eradicated from the party. And that was what was holding it back. Do not get it twisted. Grotta bags. Read Keir Starmer. Kind of get enough of me. Here's more of them. You should see him on Peston and just revel in the glory of this man. The head spy cop is about to be prime minister.
We showed on ITV last night of a Palestinian man holding a white flag being shot and killed by the Israeli military. The Prime Minister today refused to say whether he thought that was a war crime. You are a very experienced lawyer. Surely that was a war crime.
Well, Robert, first I have to say I haven't seen the footage yet. I've been working around the clock, haven't stopped today yet. I will, of course, see it. I've been sent the link to it, but I haven't seen it yet. But what I would say is this. We've been absolutely clear throughout this that, yes, of course, Israel has the right to self-defense, but it's got to be in accordance with international law. And they're two sides of the same coin. It's why we've said that the ICC should be in there with jurisdiction with the prosecutor gathering evidence, because there's got to be accountability under international law. What I don't think is wise, and this is, you know, we're always being asked to do this, is for politicians to sit looking at clips on social media or on programs and forming instant judgments about whether it's a breach of this law or that. That doesn't seem to me wise, but I don't recoil from the fact, or don't resile from the fact, that of course Israel has got to comply with international law, and of course that means the...
Right, shut up. I'm honestly, like, I can't listen anymore, this dickhead. It's unwise to call out actual war crimes because reasons, etc., and I'm not compromised in the slightest. Absolutely unreal. But this is the guy, I mean, look, let's just go straight to it. I've got an absolute waxer of a video that you might like to see, which is just in the same vein. And this is the Peerless Declassified UK's video. Love Declassified UK. Shouts to Vicky, who is actually a patron of the podcast. Vicky's a lovely person. Just follow them, support them. They're about it, you know, properly. More about it than I am. The only outlet I've heard who's just like laughed in the face of a denotice request and said no. Wonderful. My favorite. Right, let's see what Starmer's got to say.
I'm very clear.
Very
Israel
clear.
does have that right to defend herself, and Hamas bears responsibility.
A siege is appropriate, cutting off power, cutting off water.
Well, I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. Obviously, everything should be done within international law, but I don't want to step away from the sort of core principles that Israel has a right to defend herself and Hamas bears responsibility for these terrorist acts. And I would call on all responsible states, particularly Middle East responsible states, to call this out for what it is, and to stand with the world in condemning, utterly condemning these actions by...
Interesting, isn't he? What an interesting lie bag of a man. what's going to be really good, right, is watching two bald men fighting over a comb machete or a flick comb knife thing. What I'm trying to say to you is this: the Tories are going to absolutely savage this guy. If you think Jimmy Savile, etc., is not going to get mentioned constantly, it's only just begun, and I'm here for this. He deserves everything he gets. We all know why. So you won't be seeing me do any fact checking on his behalf, but I'm sure it'll be really funny watching his mob, who thought they were absolutely about it, and all of this like really like sort of dark triad games that have been playing, and then really just meet like the real baddies. This is going to be lush. It's going to be incredible. I wonder if they'll mention the Mandelson Epstein link, because it's like literally game on. Like America is going to be exactly the same as well. It's going to be hellish. The worst and most toxic campaigns ever. And you know what it is? Meanwhile, millions of people living in poverty still have no answers. Give you an example. I was reading this morning, right? Singapore government looking over the horizon. They've just announced a policy that for people over 40, they're going to pay for university or training. Why? Because of AI. They understand, anticipate what's coming, and it's removing people's jobs. So they're getting ahead of it. Spain is bringing in versions of universal basic income and already does. Real heads, no. Do you think it's bad now? AI is like, and this is why this whole sort of libertarian, like, no checks and balances on anything thing will ultimately just end up in dust. The entirety of society. That theory is just gassed up on people getting personal wealth, and that's it. That's literally it. And meanwhile, people suffer. So it is an opportunity, this election, for people to like stand up a wee bit and actually like think, you know what it is? I'm going to actually get, because to my mind, right, I've seen this with like certain aspects of the left, like absolutely rinsing the Greens and rah, rah, rah. And it's like, look, if you actually want people in government, possibly in the cabinet, who think a genocide is happening in Palestine, it's not going to come from anywhere else. You're not going to get like, oh, Galloway, do you mind hopping on being like the foreign minister or something? That's not going to happen. So you need people in those meetings, even if it's just to find out like the machinations, etc. So I would suggest to people, if you want true plurality of opinion, or at least something, then get behind the Greens. That doesn't just mean voting. The lack infrastructure on the ground. So go and help. Go and help them. I know Nick Hartley and bikers after people, he put something out the other day. I'm sure everywhere is. So get behind it. Put your money where your bloody mouth is. Start whinging. There's an option. Quite often people think, oh, I can't vote the Green, will not make any difference. If you don't vote and you add all them up, go and make the case. You want to go on like this, because you know Labour untrammeled. It's just the same old, same old. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. However, if there's some plucky young junior members around them, we all know what can happen next. Check this though, right? This is how deep it is. And this is Lord Walney, who was on the TV pissed the other night, which was absolutely ridiculous, probably having pound pints in fucking strangers' bar at Parliament. Anyway, Lord Walney, Labour, is concerned about dehumanising the far right. This is literally from one of the bills he's putting in. It's point 3.202. I share the authority's concern that anti-fascist content on mainstream social media platforms, that's people who are against fascism, by the way, on mainstream social media platforms, which endorses violence, may encourage violent behavior. Of particular concern is content that dehumanizes the far right. Right. The far right dehumanize fucking everybody that isn't them. So anyway, carrying on. And valorizes or makes the moral case for violence against its perceived supporters, a combination which could inspire people to take part in militant anti-fascist violence, or at worst, to use lethal violence in a lone attack. Of concern also is content that makes light of violence against the far right, thereby minimizing the perceived legal risk to potential use of such tactics. Given that we're on social media just now, we have a new WhatsApp group. Let's continue the conversation there after the show, everybody. And if you want to be part of it, get in touch and I'll send you the QR code because social media is crazy. Right. What else we got here? Let me have a look. Oh, I thought this was funny. Just let's have a look at the shitting dog, Sunak. Somebody's done this. Let's have a look. Hold tight. Apparently I lost screen share audio there. I'm going to play this. Let me know in the comments if you can hear it. That would be cool because I've got another video I want to play the show out with, and I want to know that I've got the audio. This one's just short. So let me know. Can you hear me? Can you hear him? What you should be hearing is squelching noises. That's what should be happening. Is it happening? Your man here needs to know. He's screaming. Did you hear him? Let us know. And I'll see if I can get these comments up. Bink. Silencio. Nope. Well, I'm pleased I know. I'm pleased I know because I did have one thing to play it out with, and it's 2 minutes long. So you've saved us there. So I won't do that. So that's not going to happen. But anyway, what I will talk about is this. And people need to be honest about this stuff. And I'm honest. I was talking to my partner about it yesterday. It's from the COVID collection on Instagram. I'm so genuinely justified in being afraid of getting COVID again. And even though everyone makes it feel otherwise, someday they will have to learn the hard way that I and many others were just trying to warn them. Literally, my settings go. And why? Because I got it. Simple as that. And it robbed us of 2 years of my life soon after our spinal surgery, robbed us of 2 years of my life. You don't want this smoke or aerosols in the air, or it's airborne, it moves like smoke. You don't want that. You see your man, the MP, who has had his hands and his feet amputated through sepsis, right? So I did a bit of digging, and I'm not saying this is the reason, but I'm saying that there needs to be a proper investigation, and I'm thinking about applying for funding to do around this. An actual MP, COVID smashed him a bit hard, not massively, but he said he had in the Isle of Thanet News where he sits, wrote his article, his regular column in there, and he was saying, I got COVID, second day was smashed us in, and I kind of got better, and it's in the range for COVID, sepsis, and everything that's happened to the lad. This is in a place that we've covered many times, which has had full-on HEPA air filtration installed since the start of the pandemic. Somebody I know was in there, in the gallery, with an Aranet 4 CO2 monitor, right? And they showed us the readings. And the readings are better than if you were taking readings outside anywhere. They're normally in the sort of 500s or whatever. These were in the 400s. And in my house now, the one over there, this was windows open and air purifier going, it's 600, something like that. So think of the system that they paid for and didn't tell anybody about. Vote accordingly. Vote accordingly. So I want to leave you with this. I've worked really hard trying to get a stadium idea off the ground because I feel like, as I was saying in the WhatsApp group earlier, I do all of this stuff and it's generally focused on around the world, and I just want to do something from where I'm from, and it's because of lads like this. Is Carl Magne, finally a Wembley win, first as a coach. Maybe the universe is telling me something there. So proud of everyone involved, particularly the players. A great story of perseverance and unbreakable character. Good things can happen to good people. Absolutely love that, and I actually closed my document with that quote because I think it informs and says everything about what we're trying to do. Listen, it's not just about a stadium, it's about a community, and it's about us all pulling together. And that by all, I mean not just the people at Gateshead, I mean people who want something beautiful to happen in the world. And I'm putting that out to everybody who watches and listens around the world. Get behind this idea because I've checked and it's the first of its kind. If you want to know why, it's based on the Preston model. If you want to know what that is, get in touch and I'll send you the document. It's 8,500 words long. There's video, there's pictures. Honestly, we will build this. Build it and they will come. You'll see that below. So not everything has to be shit. So please do get behind it. Anyway, see if there's anything. Matty's saying they're having a meeting on the stadium. I'm aware. I know. There's chat that the EFL are going to reduce their like requirements to 5 years, tenure, and things of that nature. We still need this new stadium though, because it'll just end up the same way. So I'm going to be meeting Martin Gannon, the leader of Gateshead Council. I've offered him some options. That was what I emailed to him yesterday. So we're just going to keep acting in good faith. And I'll say this, as I said to Martin in the email yesterday, obviously we're on the surface political opponents, but he's acted in good faith so far, so I've got nothing bad to report. Now, I know there's probably Gateshead fans listening, and it's the council's fault and all of this stuff. It's not that simple. And all I'm going to say is this: if we want this to happen, we're going to have to draw a line under it and stop blaming. Because there's others you could be blaming as well. There's blame to be put around. But unless we all pull together, we're not going to create a beautiful thing. So if you want to see the document, holler at your boy. Slaz has seen it. Doc looking good and well constructed. I'll be honest with you, I think it's a brilliant idea, if I do say so myself, and it's mine. No, it's one of the best pieces of work I've produced, and I put a lot of work into it. But as I say, it's a community venue as well as a sports facility. Get it read. It's a dope thing. And Joanne's saying the new stadium is mint. It is. You've read it also. Slaz wants a small edit on the accessibility paragraph. Nice one. This is exactly the type of stuff I need, Slaz. So send us that, but not in the comments on the live chat, because I'll just not be saying it. Matty, we can't do a grow there at all. That's not happening at all. No way. Thanks, Holly Nash. £5 on the super chat. Get your thong on, sweetie. I will. I'll do a little dance for you, pal. Thanks. That's really appreciated. Anybody else wants to chuck some stripper money in me thong, you know how to do it. PayPal links in the description. Also, super chat, as Holly's done there. Throw your man a $5 or a $10, maybe it's even more. Who knows? I'd really like to buy some food, etc. That would be great. That'd be a wonderful time. Reet, Matty wants one ball out the thong. Honestly, I swear to God, though, that's actually a thing in the house, because like I've got these pair of like old school underpants that hang off as these like Calvin Klein. I call them the Pride Month ones because they're like rainbow and all this stuff. That lovely thing. But they've seen better days. So one ball's always hanging out the side. I've also got a pair of running shorts as well, which are a bit too short. And if I bend down to like pick up something or whatever, like say if my dog's with us picking up the dog poo, the full works out the side. It's not great. Sometimes you forget, but sometimes you haven't got them out clean. You have to wear them. Duncan's saying, where can I have a look at the doc? Just inboxes, send an email. I'll just send you. I just need to know who's got it, so it's not like for public distribution yet. But I'm happy to send it to people that I know and take feedback, etc. in that regard. So please do get in touch via milkthecowpodcast@gmail.com if you want to see it, or just inbox the Cow Daily Facebook page. They'll be the two quickest ways you can get a hold of it. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. I'm off to see the wizard. I'm not off to see the wizard. I'm off to see... Who am I off to see? I don't want to say. I'm off to see somebody. It'll be good. See you.